I'm Christy. Have you ever heard of the phrase, the gift of life? Have you ever had to wait for something you couldn't live without, literally? Would you do anything and everything that you could in your power to save the life of someone you love? I'm here today to share with you the importance of organ donation and how you or someone in your family could give the ultimate gift of life by donating an organ or tissue, or even part of an organ, to someone in need. The need is very real. To put things in perspective just a little bit, according to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, 116,543 people in the United States are waiting for an organ. That's enough to populate a small city. Of the 116,543 people waiting for an organ, thousands never get a second chance at life and die waiting for the organ that could save them. According to organdonor.gov, while 79 people a day receive a transplant, 18 people a day die. This happens every single day, 365 days a year. These people die because there's a shortage of organs in the United States. How would you feel if one of those people waiting for an organ to save their life was someone you love? One of your children, your husband, your wife, your mother, your father, anybody in your family. Would that make you choose to be an organ donor? Would you then be thankful that there is such a thing as organ donation? Unfortunately, the Department of Health and Human Services tells us that the number of organ donors is on the decline. Living donors who donate a kidney, lung, or liver for transplant has declined over the last 5 years, from 7,000 in 2004 to 6,219 in 2008. Organs from deceased donors has also decreased for the first time since 2008. Until then, the number of deceased donors had increased every year. There are 5 very important reasons to become a donor. The first and most obvious is you save a life. If you become a donor, you can save actually more than one life. If you are a deceased donor, you can save up to 8 lives by donating your organs. Second, the demand is high. As I mentioned before, there's 116,543 people in the United States waiting for organs. Third, it's free. If you're a living donor and you're still alive and you choose to donate organs to anybody, it's free. If you're deceased, it's free to your family to donate your organs. The minority need is high. Certain blood types are more prevalent in ethnic minority populations, such as African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Asians. They have to match the blood type to transplant the organs, so minority transplants usually have to go to minorities. The minority organ, the donor and the recipient usually has to be a minority because of blood type. Everyone is eligible. This is the 5th reason. Everyone is eligible. Age is not a factor. People in their 70s and 80s donate all the time. Donating can actually be somewhat of a positive experience for the family, the donor's family, because they are saving a life. Somehow they can make a tragedy, somewhat of a positive experience because they're actually saving somebody with their loss. You don't have to be deceased to donate. Living donors can donate kidneys, part of their liver, a lung, and intestine, and in some instances they can donate eyes or tissue. That is from organdonor.gov. Deceased donors can provide 6 types of organs: kidneys, pancreas, liver, lungs, heart, intestines, and they can also donate tissues such as heart valves, skin, and veins, and also bones. There are networks set up to make things go as smooth and easy as possible. The United States government has contracted the United Network of Organ Sharing, which is also known as UNOS, to make things go as smoothly as possible. They exist solely for that reason, to help the donors and the recipients get through this process. Their duties are they manage the transplant waiting list, meaning they match donors to recipients 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They're always trying to match donors. They maintain a database that contains all of the organ transplant data for every transplant that occurs in the United States. They also develop policies to make the best use of the limited supply of the organs that are available. They attempt to give every patient a fair shot at getting an organ, whether this is regardless of their age, their sex, their religion, their race, their financial status, or their lifestyle. None of those things matter. UNOS also monitors every organ match to ensure that proper policy is followed. UNOS also provides assistance and guidance to friends and family members of the recipients and donors. They educate the public about the importance of organ donation. That's probably the most important thing that they do. Also, people are sometimes afraid to become donors because they're worried that their wishes will not be carried out and safeguarded. There are 4 simple ways to make sure your wishes to become a donor are known and honored. The first and most obvious is to designate on your driver's license that you wish to become a donor. That's the most common way. The second is tell your close friends and family. If you have the opportunity to do this while you're still healthy, that is the best time to do it. This helps your family kind of understand, get through their fears, and it gives them the opportunity to warm up to the idea of you donating. Most people are very afraid of that. Third, tell your doctor. Fourth, update your will. If you don't have a will, you might want to get a will just for that purpose. Also, many people falsely believe that receiving an organ isn't worthwhile because they believe that they will die soon after or they will not have a good quality of life. This is actually not true. 5 years after a transplant, this is according to organdonor.gov, 5 years after a transplant, 69.3% of kidney recipients are still alive. 74.9% of heart recipients are still alive. 73.8% liver recipients and 54.4% lung recipients are still alive 5 years after their transplants. I have some stories here of some transplant recipients and also donors. This little girl and her father, this is Cheyenne Arnold, and her it's her grandfather, Harrison Black. They are both heart recipients. They both had cardiomyopathy at the same time in their lives. They both were able to get heart transplants and live. They are, years later, they've gotten their transplants. They're still alive. They live normal lives. They are able even to take motorcycle rides on his motorcycle and live very normal lives. This is a guy that was a donor. This is Johnny Brown, and he donated his cornea and tissue. He was a police officer in California, and he was shot and killed a day after his 38th birthday while visiting a friend. Luckily, he had already dedicated himself to becoming a donor, so he was able to save several lives. This girl is another recipient. She received a liver. Her name is Callie Dandy Evans. She was born with a blockage in her tubes that carry the bile from her liver to her gallbladder. They thought they could fix this with a simple surgery, but in fact they couldn't. She ended up having to have a liver transplant not long after she was a newborn baby. She was only months old. She is very normal. She has to take 2 medications a day, and that's it. She goes and plays and jumps around and dances and sings like any normal child, and lives a normal life after receiving her liver. So I hope I've impressed upon you the need for organ donation, and I hope if any of you have the opportunity to save a life, you take it. Thank you.
Good job.